So, quarantine has been tough. I don't get to go out much, not really exercising a whole lot, and now I'm running low on Mountain Dew. So I might have to start drinking toilet bowl cleaner, but I mean Coca-Cola. Or worse, Pepsi. Huh? So the reading part is done. We have one more part left, the listening section. It's a scary beast in and of itself for multiple reasons, no less. This is arguably the most difficult part to teach and actually improve, because most of the times the solution to you being inept at listening is simply get good. That doesn't help you much at all, does it? Sure, we still have some techniques that we can talk about, but this is the part that really asks you to put in the time and effort to practice. Like, there's no way around it. You want to be good, you gotta do the work. Understood? Now let's begin. First things first, you'll have the listening section at the very end of the test, right when you're the most vulnerable after all the abuse you went through during the previous 12 question types. Holy crap, there was 12? Hold on. We said before that we have 20 question types in total, so again, holy crap, we have 8 more left? Precisely, the listening section has 8 question types, along with the 3 in speaking that also contributed to the listening score. Technically, you have 11 involving listening. Aren't you glad to hear that you have literally more than half of the test affecting just one score? Lucky for you, before the listening section begins, you have the option to take a 10-minute break. You can use this time to have some water, visit the restroom, cry a bit, and then come back in. However, you will be warned that it takes time to log out of the system and then log back in, so you don't really have exactly 10 minutes. Classic Pearson. Let's talk about what the question types actually are. Here's a quick fire round. Summarize spoken text, listening multiple choice, choose multiple answers, listening fill in the blanks, highlight correct summary, listening multiple choice, choose single answer, select missing word, highlight incorrect words, and write from dictation. Before you rage quit and go back to IELTS, you just have to know that out of the 8, 4 of them are different types of multiple choice. Why are they made so fancy and confusing, you might ask? I really don't know. For fun, I guess. You will be getting 2 to 3 questions per type, but you will be getting 1 more for write from dictation. It really seems like such a trivial decision to not make everything consistent, but it's Pearson, so it's expected. Do remember that they show up in a fixed order as shown right now. However, just like for reading, I'll switch things up a bit so that it actually makes more sense, and that it gradually increases in difficulty. It just makes a lot more sense, and it is actually how things were done in the agency. Well, at least the ones I've worked for. Just in case things are convoluted enough, the time management poses a different challenge. Summarize spoken text involves writing a summary, in case you didn't get that from the name, and each question will be allocated 10 minutes, but the other 7 question types will share a time limit ranging from 23 to 28 minutes. Believe me when I say the time is tight, especially since the clock will be ticking when you listen to the passages. For reading, at least you can skip through text and search for the important bits, but you can't control how fast the audio is played. Moreover, you also only have 1 chance to get everything right. Oh, the thrill. Don't worry too much because we have quite a few things going our way. The first would be that it's really less complicated than you think it is. The multiple choice questions are just, well, multiple choice, and the other question types are fairly manageable as well if you know what you're doing. Some of the questions are extremely similar to their counterparts in speaking. As an example, write from dictation is really just the written version of repeat sentence, and summarize spoken text just asks you to write down what you would have said if it were a retail lecture instead. Listening fill in the blanks is, in a way, just checking if you can spell the words correctly. That's right, it has nothing to do with comprehension whatsoever. You spell the words correctly, you get the point. The listening part even has its own meme question, just like how speaking has answer short questions. The highlight incorrect words literally reads out a piece of text right in front of your eyes, and you'll have to spot the differences. Exactly, it's a text version of Where's Waldo. I'm feeling better about this already. What about you? Now let's take some time and talk about common issues many students will run into with listening. The number 1 issue they have is just not practicing enough. One big problem I have with agency courses is this. After a short introductory course of what the test is about, what you have to look out for, and so on, students who achieve their desired scores probably could have done so without taking the course. What they get by attending these classes is really just public information, so they could have just asked a friend who who had taken the test before. As for the students who struggled before the class, they would most likely struggle afterwards as well. There's really not much room for improvement because individual questions are rarely discussed, and that's a big motivation I had when I decided to do this course. I wanted to dedicate more time and energy into individual questions to discuss them thoroughly because I believe that's the way to truly get better at English. Another problem, especially with Chinese students, is that they don't recognize many of the words when they hear them, but they would know the word when I showed them the text. This is a problem that stems from the first one, and it's really bad. Why would they run into such an issue? It's simple. They haven't heard anyone else saying the word before, and more importantly, they haven't heard themselves saying the word before. It's a big part missing in the English courses they took as they grew up. They missed the connection between spelling and pronunciation, and this has already manifested during speaking, when they recognize the word and even its meaning, but have no idea how to pronounce it. Speaking and listening really goes hand in hand, so it's a very good idea to improve them together. This leads to a further tip. We just talked about how some of the speaking and listening questions are very similar. This provides a good opportunity to be flexible, mix them up, and practice together. After you finish a listening fill in the blanks, why not just read it out loud to practice speaking? You have the full text right there, and if you like, you can play and follow the audio to feel the pauses, tones, and specific pronunciations. You're weaker in speaking than for writing? No problem. Just speak out the info you plan to write down for summarized spoken text, and by doing so, you've essentially turned it into a retail lecture. Such synergy is something you can exploit because oftentimes your target score will have a requirement for each of the four, so it's a good idea to be more well-rounded. The next one involves improving writing and listening together. Most of the audios will not be a spontaneous conversation. Instead, it will be read from a script, and oftentimes the practice materials will provide the exact script. If you really want to put in the effort, you can try to write down the whole passage while listening to the audio. It might take you 2 to 3 times to get the whole thing, but this will tremendously help your accuracy for listening, and you will get some much needed exercise on writing with proper grammar. It's tedious and borderline masochistic, but it's really effective, and it will definitely help you in the long run. Lastly, this will be a tip that I plan to use for the upcoming videos. I call this comparing notes. For the questions requiring comprehension, I will be showing you the entire text whenever possible, but more importantly, I will discuss my notes with you, which will be a summary of all the important bits that you should get from the passage and thus answer the question perfectly. This can help you build a sense of what info is actually important to understand and what details are not as crucial, so you can be more selective when listening. This will be a huge improvement in efficiency, so you can save some time and energy when taking notes and interpreting the meaning. That'll be all for today. A quick summary of the upcoming episodes on listening. We'll start with the multiple choice questions just as we did for reading and gradually move up the ladder. Please like, subscribe, and share so we can all listen to audios together and we can listen to Donald Trump talking smack to New Zealand. He thinks New Zealand had it rough with 1,600 cases of COVID-19. Can someone tell him that the US has about 4,000 times more cases, just to see his brain malfunction while crunching the numbers? Let's not pay someone else to take the standardized test and get into UPenn like he did. And I'll see you all next time.